Frontier will be doing a special community spotlight for Jurassic World Evolution 2 on August 9th, and great minds think alike, because I also wanted to spotlight some community builds in this video right here. Now, I think Frontier is gonna do more than show off community stuff in their stream. We're all looking at this tweet like...
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
And most of us agree that this is the first hint at an announcement coming soon. I will talk about that at the end of this video. First, what I want to do is show some beautiful builds from the community that I think are going to give you ideas and inspiration for your own builds. In case you missed it, we did a livestream event on the channel 2 months ago where people submitted screenshots and videos of their builds in the Evolution Squared Discord, and I went over them in the stream and reacted to them. Oh, that's so good. Look at it. It is so good. Oh my god, man. Oh my god, I think I should retire. That stream ended up being 3.5 hours long because so many people participated and there were so many great builds to show. So it was a very long stream, and I understand that you don't want to sit through all of that to get to like the best community builds. So what I wanted to do with this video is show some of my absolute favorites in a shorter format. On Monday, I scrolled through all the submissions again to find my personal favorites and save the screenshots, and as I was doing that, I did keep seeing the works of one builder in particular that just blew me away, so they got a special shout out on the community tab. For this video, now allow me to showcase some more amazing stuff. The first builds that we will be looking at were built by Daft Vader. I wanted to highlight this exhibit right here in which they've created hot springs. I think that's such a unique exhibit idea, and it looks very convincing. I mean, I think it looks very good. That looks like hot springs. It reminds me of the Isle and Path of Titans. So yeah, if you're looking for like an original idea for an enclosure, something other than another swamp, another desert, I think this is super cool. We don't have to spend too much time on it, but I just wanted to highlight it. The other thing by Daft Vader that I wanted to show is this plaza, this path design that it's just like, this hits my personal happy spot. I know that that's very personal to me, but that's probably going to be true for many of these picks, that this is just what I'm personally attracted to. Did I just say I'm attracted to you know what, let's go with it. I just think it's super beautiful the way these like circles intersect with each other. If we zoom in on the image, if I remember how to do that, there you go. So this like little semicircular pathway that cuts through, there's actually a little campsite incorporated into this plaza. What they've done, which I always recommend, is hide the backs of the buildings, because you know, there's literal trash back there. You don't want your guests to be looking at that. There's several viewing opportunities attached to it. I just now noticed that this is actually their entry point, or at least it is an arrival point of one of the monorail stations, and I think this is a really lovely welcome to a park. Like, you can use a plaza design like this at any point in your park, but as an entry plaza, I think this also just works really well. I love, you know, that the path just curves off to the side and takes you by the fences to look into the enclosure. It just looks really, really lovely, and I think it's a beautiful alternative to a big plaza that is fully paved. You know, this actually incorporates a lot of nature, so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. It just sort of blends well with the surrounding environment. And what I also like, and I don't know if this is on purpose or not, but you know, with the hot springs, you have like this circular design within the habitat, and then the path design also has like these circular designs to it. So it feels purposeful, and it feels like it just gels really well. So there's a good vibe to it. I really, really like this, and like the combination of different path colors, which is something I personally also always try to do and always advise, but they've done it so beautifully here. Honestly, bravo. And I think I said this during the stream as well, but I might have to just literally copy this design at some point. Speaking of beautiful path design, this is frying my brain right now. This was built by Graceful Dragon, and I bow before you. You are the official path king or queen. wow, that it's gorgeous. The fact that you even thought to do this, it must have been an absolute nightmare to do this without getting some really ugly clipping. As a bit of a path expert, I acknowledge that. I know that from experience, and I admire this. Like, it is beautiful. Oh my god. And I can't, like, this. I'm trying to like come up with words because that's sort of what I do in a video. I narrate, but I'm struggling not to have this leave me completely speechless. Of course, on top of the beautiful path design, we have the like this monorail detail that I personally love incorporating into my parks. It just gives like this beautiful focal point to the plaza. And the second screenshot by Graceful Dragon is just, it makes me happy. This makes me feel so peaceful inside when I look at this. It looks like all of the cutouts are small enclosures because I can't see invisible fence in there, but we have like this nice bean-shaped and weird squiggly shaped habitats, just completely surrounded by path, but it all has very natural shapes, and it's just because of the globular, bobular nature of it, it's just very relaxing to look at. But in the distance, we actually have like this beautiful circular plaza, flanked on either side by like other circular plazas, but the one in the middle is really lovely, like decorated with a tree in the middle, surrounded by it. It kind of looks like a sort of tree ritual is going on over there, but I support it. I want to join. I want to pray to this altar that Graceful Dragon has built and hope that someday I can do something as gorgeous as this. It's absolutely amazing, exquisite, and you know what I always say, I don't care that the game functions that way. I don't care that whatever dinosaur is in here is not actually seen by guests because there's no viewing. Actually, oh, what I just noticed, oh, how clever are they? There is just a viewing gallery right there, which probably gives like visibility at all of this. Genius. So you get like the advantage of just having these weird squiggly habitats within your path design, but you still get the visibility of the dinosaurs. That's very good. Now, what I was talking about, actually, you don't feel like you need to do that. It's very clever that they did do that, but I personally don't feel compelled to do something like that myself all of the time. It's the game's loss that guests don't recognize habitats like this, and there's no path viewing. Something I always say is that you shouldn't let the lacking mechanics of the game influence your park builds. Don't feel like you need to put viewing galleries all over the place when, you know, most zoos don't function that way. You can just, you know, look over a fence with your eyeballs and observe the animals that way. I have one screenshot to share by Legion Yapper. This is so cute. I love this. Now, a huge plaza like this is not something I personally do a lot, if at all anymore. It is a huge paved area, of course, to allow for that awesome Mosasaurus design. But I think because of the Mosasaurus design, this is the perfect excuse to go this oversized with the plaza. I love it. It is so fun. Yeah, I'm very, very, very impressed. And it actually leads to this really cool sort of peninsula section that juts out into what I'm assuming is going to be the Mosasaurus Lagoon. I just love what they did over there. They like put these Malta wall pieces and towers to create this narrow entry section. There's Mosasaurus flags all over the place. This is going to be a Mosa Lagoon. I'm pretty sure of it. I don't see anything in the lagoon, but that's okay. Magnetator is a regular on the channel. I know Magnetator mostly from the many times that we played the Isle together. They joined me in a group in that game, but they've actually built something really cool in Jurassic World Evolution too, and that's this right here, which is this very symmetrical design with the lagoons that I think is really, really cool. Now, this does use mods, be aware of this, but you can come very, very close to this without mods. So I don't want people to look at something and just immediately dismiss it when they recognize that it has mods. You can adapt this to unmodded gameplay as well. But yeah, so they like these symmetrical lagoons. Now they put the Biosin viewing towers in there. You can just attach regular galleries and continue your park over here, so they would be accessible via the path, you know. You can work around that. What they've done in the center of this plaza is these look like entry buildings to like log viewing galleries and the domes and such, so maybe those are underwater. I can't quite see that. But you know, unmodded, you would just space these out a tiny bit more. Obviously you can't put a fountain, what looks like a fountain, right on top of that, but you know, again, you can adapt this. What I also really like about this is the elevated, like, center part of the plaza, and then the rest is quite a bit lower than that, so that's really cool, because you create, like, this really nice viewpoint from the elevated path down at the rest of your plaza. And then what I literally just noticed, which I think is really fun, one side has circular cutouts in the plaza and the other side has square cutouts in the plaza. And I'm conflicted. Like, which one do I like best? Because, you know, obviously Evolution square, but then again, I mostly make circles. I'm gonna have to do some soul searching there. This park was built by Mahogany Table, and I wanted to show this because I think this is such a cool park layout overall, with like this big circle at the start, and then a long path connects it to a circle at the center with an aviary over there. And yeah, there's just like these big thoroughways that connect the park together with huge habitats in between. And I think this, just from an aerial perspective, looks like a really cool park, and I absolutely love it. And here another cool park layout overview. This one was built by Panthera from YT. The big plaza, of course, stands out right away, but you can see that there's this canyon with a river cutting through the park, and it creates like this... Actually, hold on. Am I seeing this correctly? Oh, yeah. So one side... so if I follow the river like that, this side is quite a bit lower than this side. So this entire path that follows along the edge of the canyon has an elevated perspective of the other side of the park, so that's really cool. I'm seeing that the path in the back has this cute dinosaur footprint design on it. That's really, really lovely. Rob Earth, I know, is another regular on the channel. Thank you, Rob, for watching so many videos and always commenting. And I wanted to highlight this build of yours. I have two of your screenshots. This first one, obviously, this is a modded build for those of you at home. Something like this we wouldn't necessarily be able to recreate. Obviously, instead of the actual ocean water, you could just use the water brush to come relatively close to this, but this is one of those instances where mods do reign supreme. But I think it's just so beautiful the way this old Mediterranean dock was created. Yeah, it's just a really clever use of pieces. If I try to zoom in, yeah, so the docks are actually built out of containers, crates at the end. We have lagoon decoration pieces. There's like these the Malta towers that you see at the end here are also sunken in at the side of this dock to give it more like dimension, and absolutely amazing. Like I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but that's because like all of these builds that I've chosen, I feel the same way about. I love them and they blow my absolute teeny tiny lizard brain. Other image from Rob Earth I wanted to showcase because A, I love it, but B, this is something that you can come quite close to if you're playing the game unmodded. So what they've done is they've built like this huge lagoon and then this peninsula like cuts into the lagoon, and like what they've done here, again, you can come pretty close to this without mods. For example, they use a modded gate over here, but we have the Jurassic Park gate just regularly available. You know, attach viewing galleries, put a couple of amenities in there, even work a hotel in here. It's gonna be a little bit more challenging, you know, to fit path and stuff in there without the, you know, without clipping into buildings and stuff, which prevents you from placing the path. But there is definitely a way to do this. And I just love this like separated section that they've created, which feels like it's just in the middle of the lagoon because it juts out like that. And it's given even more privacy by putting like this really dense garden in front of it. You know, unmodded, you can't make a garden quite that dense, but again, you can come very close to this, so you can definitely take inspiration from this. Of course, if you are playing with mods, you can replicate this exactly. But just to highlight, because I know a lot of people who watch my channel, that's how that sentence was supposed to go. They play the game unmodded, they appreciate that I still play the game unmodded, but I do want to highlight that you can still find inspiration from modded builds as well. Oh, tiny little extra shout out for one of Rob Earth's designs, but only because I recognize this as one of my plaza designs that I did a video on, and I got so excited seeing that Rob Earth recreated that plaza design in their own park. Like, I know that a lot of you guys watch me for ideas and stuff, which is still mind-boggling to me, but at the same time I feel really happy that I can provide such ideas and inspiration. But actually seeing someone take my idea and incorporate it in their own parks is so exciting to me. And yeah, it's just a huge honor that someone saw a design I did and liked it so much that they rebuilt it themselves. And honestly, Rob Earth made it even better by scaling it up, which gave them, you know, the space to add buildings and make the river bigger, and it looks absolutely gorgeous, and I'm honored that you used my idea. Now I have two screenshots from the builder Sean B. The first one I wanted to, of course, show you because of this path design, sort of like this braided thing going on. When you first look at it, you might think it's quite complicated, but it's actually quite easy, very easy if you just deconstruct it. So what it just is a thick path on either end where the buildings connect to, and then actually with a slightly thinner path, you just sort of create like this crisscross design. And you know, that's just easy to do with the in-game path tools. And then you fill it up with a contrasting path color, and you've created something really, really awesome. I've created a mess here trying to show what I mean, but like, you get it, right? The other one I wanted to showcase, again, still by Sean B, is this right here. I absolutely love the layered hotels. Like, they've created this, is this modded? I don't think this is modded. No, it's not. It looks like quite a steep cliff, but I think it's still within the bounds of the normal gameplay capabilities. But yeah, they've created like this quite tall hill, tall enough to be the same height or even a little bit taller than the big hotels. And then they put hotels down below and hotels on top. So what that does is it creates really good views from hotel rooms from all hotels. Now, obviously, if you have a hotel room at the back here, you're looking at the cliff face, but you get a discount if you stay in those rooms. I always say differences in elevations, super, super, super important. Next up, I have 4 screenshots by the builder Shroom Coaster. Shroom Coaster submitted a lot of their builds for the initial park showcase event that we did. And I selected these 4 just because they're my absolute favorites, and I didn't want to go overboard and make it a dedicated Shroom Coaster video. However, Best in Slot did do a dedicated Shroom Coaster video, and it is well deserved. Best in Slot showcased one of their parks that they made available on Nexus, and it's gorgeous. Shroom Coaster is, I think, one of the most talented modded builders because they really know how to use mods to the best effect. Wow, so anyway, this first image, you've been looking at it for a really long time, but I love the shape of this habitat. I love that it's sunken down. I love how they've used the lagoon viewing galleries for this, because you can actually you know, the stadium seating can sink down to a lower level to give a different perspective of the habitat. And what you could actually pretend is, rather than the stadium seating having to drop down, is that this lower area is just accessible via one of these buildings as a sort of tunnel or whatever. You know, even if you're using mods, you can still, like, take that to the next level by using your imagination on top of that. This stood out to me right away because, you know, bridges is something we are clamoring for. We want bridges. Now, I did show in a video that there is a glitch that allows you to make sort of bridges unmodded. I will link that at the end of this one, but you probably have seen it already. But yeah, I hope that maybe official bridges ever become a thing, but I think this was just such a clever way to build a bridge using the container pieces. And we know that the tour vehicles will actually go over there, because it's the same principle as the unmodded bridge glitch trick that I showcased. This, I think, is the most clever use of the lagoons when it comes to mods. So what they've done here is they've built a lagoon at the very edge of a cliff with their expanded terrain tools. They raised up the terrain inside the lagoon so it covers the water level. There's no there would be no water left, and then they paved over it. So what you now have is this like elevated walled section, sort of like reinforced cliff face is, I guess, how you would see it realistically. I think that looks so cool, and this would be perfect. Like if the terrain was flat at the bottom of the lagoon wall, that would also just be really cool. Like, create elevation in your parks by doing this, creating like these concrete walls. You can also theoretically use that to create moats for your enclosures, for your most dangerous dinosaurs. Just think it's super clever. The bunny just, he's excited. He has a new toy. Anyway, also placing the amphitheater on top of the lagoon. So cool. Shroom Coaster really knows how to get the most out of mods. The last one by Shroom Coaster is tame in comparison. I just really like what they did here with the lagoon at the center. A little bit of a design going on in the lagoon itself. Something like this, though, you can recreate unmodded to a certain extent. Just instead of using a lagoon for this circular pond, use the water brush and put something decorative in there. Here's a cool main street like path design by the Kamikampi that I wanted to shout out, because I think that's so clever, the way they follow the shape of the fountains with the path. I think that looks super good. There's some clipping in certain areas. I think that if you are careful with it, you can prevent clipping like that to make it look even more clean. And I just think that looks really interesting. Like, it just emphasizes the fountains, and I like it. Well done. The next 3 screenshots are by Wallace21. Is that correct? Yeah, apparently Wallace21. I'm using the names that the people have on their Discord accounts at the moment of making this video. People change their Discord names a lot, so I hope that these are somewhat accurate. But this park, like, when I saw this as I was doing the initial event stream, like, I had to really pause and look at this and sort of reminisce about my Jurassic World Evolution 1 days, where I feel like my park designs were more symmetrical the way this is. And I said this in the stream as well, but nowadays my parks are more natural and they flow. And that's nice and all, but you don't get that wow effect when you zoom out, when you hop into like this aerial perspective, because this is gorgeous. And it's not fully symmetrical, which I think just makes it more interesting, you know. There's the perfect amount of symmetry and asymmetry that makes it feel balanced and interesting and avoids it being boring. I think if you go fully symmetrical, which I do see people doing, that is personal taste. I will say that it's personal taste. I don't personally like it when you go fully symmetrical, but this is just chef's kiss perfection. And you can see it's just super impressive. Like, there's like this perfectly straight line from the entry point all the way to the far end of the park where the innovation center is at. There's a lagoon perfectly centered in the way, a pond, you have this garden. They've hidden the back of the building with the concrete wall. Nice. It's just really, really pretty. There's so much individually placeable foliage in this park. I don't know, do you work for NASA? What kind of PC do you have? This is still the same park by Wallace 21. This is just a different perspective. This is the lagoon that we saw in the distance. What I really like about this is the alternating path colors in between for a little bit of variety. And just the symmetry here, I think, worked out really well. The path flows around the lagoon very nicely. Also, it's a little bit difficult to tell at a first glance from this image, but this entire section is sunken down from the bit around it. And visually, that's just very pretty and very interesting. So these paths over here, they actually slope down to this lower section. You can tell by the lagoon wall that's exposed here, but you have viewing galleries attached at, water level on either side. So on top of amazing path usage, amazing park layout, they've also done really well incorporating these elevation differences. And here's just another look at the park layout. I will stop waxing poetic about it, but I really love it. Okay, just once more. I love the interplay between symmetry and asymmetry. We have these symmetrical triangular bits and attractions on either side. But then on this side, the path does something on the left that is not repeated on the right. And I think it just makes it visually much more appealing. I think I'm coming to a conclusion how to phrase my dislike for completely symmetrical parks. And that is when your park is completely symmetrical, half of your park is useless. Half of your park is a copy of the other half. And so it's just not as interesting. You're literally copying yourself. I think I'm having an epiphany. I think that's it. So I think this way is the way to go. If you like symmetrical builds, if that satisfies your OCD, relatable, but if you can stand it, I highly recommend it incorporating just the tiniest bit of asymmetry to keep it interesting and different and unique. Basically, what I want to say, if you're going for symmetry, make the two halves of your park sisters, not twins. There you go. The last two screenshots that I want to show you before we get into a little bit of theorizing about Frontiers community project that's upcoming. These are the two screenshots by Wheat. I probably mispronounced that. I'm very sorry. It's on screen. Does that make up for it? I hope so. So both of these screenshots are just from a plaza design that I think are both really, really pretty. They're both circular, and what I want to highlight about that, I might as well switch back and forth. So we have these two circular path designs, and they are different. They are unique from one another, but clearly they are part of the same park. They have the same sort of vibe about them. And when you're building a park, if you want your overall park to feel cohesive and like it was planned and the designs are purposeful, what I would advise is that you have recurring design elements to make the park fit together. So what Wheat did here is we have a circular plaza over here, and then in an entirely different part of the park, we have a different circular path, circular plaza, but it matches. You still feel like design-wise, this is the same style. This is the same school of design that you're still in. So it really just ties a park together, I think. What drew me to this one specifically is because they managed to use the squiggly planter that I've never figured out how to incorporate properly. I really like how they did it here. That's really good, like, flowing use of this particular planter. For this next part of the video, I want to talk about Frontier's tweet. I should point out the obvious and clearly state that this tweet is very vague and doesn't actually confirm anything, and it's not something I would normally make a video about, but this did seem like a fitting video to shoehorn it into due to the coincidence of the timing, you know, them doing like a community thing and me doing a community thing, and we've been so antsy for new content for so long that I do think it's just fun to talk about. If that's not your thing, I get it. That's why it's at the end of this video. You've gotten your building inspiration. Go forth and build something awesome. If this sort of like speculation theorizing stuff is interesting to you, stick around. I personally think this tweet is a pretty clear hint at an announcement coming soon, either during the stream itself or in the days or week beforehand. As I've shared in a community post yesterday, I think there are several facets to this tweet that indicate this means an announcement is coming. First, a stream on a Wednesday seems like a purposeful choice, given that in the past their regular Jurassic World Evolution 2 streams have always been on Fridays. Now, streaming on Wednesdays could just be the new standard for this new monthly streaming schedule, as opposed to every other Friday like they've done since January. But there is more to this tweet. Second, Frontier knows their every move, their every word is being scrutinized by fans hungry for news. Using special the way they did would be a massive marketing faux pas if it ends up not relating to anything exciting, anything new for their awaiting fan base. I really think Frontier knows better than that, than to play with people's emotions to that extent, because that would just massively backfire. Third, normally streams are announced a day in advance. This announcement comes 2 weeks in advance. That implies that it is going to be a pretty important stream and they want to make sure the community gets a big heads up. Not something you do for just any community stream where they just show off community builds as they've done in the past. Like, that's a fun stream, but not something you would have to mark your calendar for way in advance. Finally, and credit to John for pointing this out, there is a hidden livestream in the livestream playlist for Jurassic World Evolution 2 on their official YouTube channel. Now, this could simply be a past livestream that was hidden for whatever reason, but I think it's very possible that this hidden livestream is the upcoming livestream from August 9th, which has already been scheduled. Now, this is purely me projecting my own personal experience as a former marketing professional onto Frontier. But when I worked for the marketing department for an international company, big public announcements had to get approved by many different figureheads within the company, and to get that approval, you just had to set up whatever it was way in advance and then send it around. Now, my company didn't do live streams, but we did create web pages, and these web pages would be created weeks in advance before they would go public, so we could privately share them with the higher-ups and they could approve the web page in its final form, as opposed to sending them a mock-up in Photoshop or whatever. It's very possible that Frontier had to schedule this stream in advance because the title, the thumbnail, the description, the tags, and everything else had to get approval from other departments because it concerns something official, like a new DLC announcement. Now, when an announcement will actually come, we obviously don't know. We don't know anything. The stream itself could include the DLC announcement showcasing the first trailer, or the trailer could drop a few days in advance and then the stream goes into more of an in-depth showcase of the new content as they've done in the past. Or it could even be that the DLC is both announced and released before the stream even happens, and the stream itself shows what the community has been doing with the new content since the new content released. Like, so many possibilities, and nobody has the answers. All we can obviously do is wait for the actual announcement. My predictions have been wrong a couple of times in a row, which makes me hesitant to throw out predictions nowadays, but it does look like this prediction I did based on the SteamDB data is turning out to be correct, and I know you guys are gonna ask me for a prediction anyway. So I'll take a shot in the dark and I'll say that maybe the trailer will drop either August 1st or August 3rd, and the stream will showcase more details of the new content, and then the very next day on August 10th, the DLC releases. I'm basing this on absolutely nothing. Let me know in a comment down below what you think. Whatever the case, I will of course bring you the news and the excitement as soon as we get official word, so if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, enjoy the game.